With Cold War out, we finally have every single weapon that is meant to be in the game. Of course, not including weapons that will be added in the future. But right now, since we have a majority of the weapons that are going to be in the game, it seems like it's finally time to make this list. Welcome to COD Globe, where today we're looking at the 10 best weapons in Cold War. At number 10, we have a weapon that was actually on the top 10 worst weapons in Cold War, and that is the M16. I don't know what they did to this gun that turned it around so much, but the M16 went from being one of the worst weapons in my opinion to actually being one of the best. The M16 now has amazing stopping power, unbelievable range that actually can compete with some of the sniper rifles in the game. With it being a fan favorite, I am very happy to see that the M16 was able to redeem itself in the full version of the game. However, because it has a lower rate of fire and it's not as useful in close range, it does deserve to be lower on this list. However, it is still one of my favorite guns in the game right now. At number 9, we have the Milano 812. With this obviously being the game's version of the Uzi, the Milano has an amazing rate of fire and a pretty decent time to kill. However, even though the gun is pretty good in most gunfights and will win you most gunfights, it does lack something very needed, and that's an amazing pinpoint accuracy. The Milano, like most other Uzi variants that have been used in every other Call of Duty, has a problem with accuracy. Now when we're talking about accuracy, I mean more around the recoil control scale, but it's still a good gun. The Milano will win you a good amount of your close range fights and overall is a pretty well balanced gun. However, in a long distance fight, don't get angry if you wind up losing to an assault rifle or even some other SMGs, because the Milano simply isn't built for long range fights. At number 8, we have the XM4. Now, hold up, I know what you're about to say. How is the XM4 at the number 8 spot? This gun is basically the M4 of Cold War. Let me explain. You are correct in saying that the XM4 is basically like the M4A1 from other Call of Duties. However, they did a very good job in balancing this gun and not making it too overpowered. The damage is amazing, the rate of fire is pretty good for an assault rifle, and for the range, this gun doesn't even come close to being able to deserve the amount of range it can get. The XM4 is a very well-built gun, and with the right attachments, it can be a killing machine. However, if we're talking about the base gun, the XM4 does lack a lot of attributes that it needs to compete with some of the other guns on this list. Where yes, it is basically the M4 of this game, the XM4 does have a lot of issues, which is why it's on this list, but it's lower on it. However, I feel like these issues do help balance the gun very well. At number 7, we have the AK-74U, a fan favorite. The AK-74U has pretty amazing accuracy for an SMG, and along with that, an amazing time to kill, beautiful rate of fire. In the end, this gun is, as it always has been, a killing machine. The AK-74U is a beautifully built gun that has a lot of attributes that makes it a beautiful gun. There are a lot of Call of Duty veterans that will tell you that this gun has been a fan favorite for a very long time, and it is for good reason. At number 6, we have the AK-47, another fan favorite. If you try to tell me that you don't like the AK-47, I can tell that you're lying in some case, shape, or form. The AK-47 is a cult classic, and if you do not like it, you're lying. Where in most Call of Duties it does have a problem with recoil, it makes up for that in its outstanding time to kill, high damage rate, and insane range. However, in this game, if you have the right attachments, there's very little to no recoil for this gun, making it even better than it already is. However, if we're talking about base attachments, of course the AK-47 is still going to deal with a lot of recoil and a lot of kickback, which is why it does deserve to be on this list, but it's just not in the top 5. That brings us to number 5, we have the AUG. Now the AUG is one of the best weapons to ever grace Call of Duty in my personal opinion. In the original Black Ops, it was introduced as a fully automatic assault rifle, and in other games it was introduced as an LMG, in Modern Warfare 2019 it was an SMG, and in Cold War it's being brought back as a tactical rifle, meaning that this AUG has a 3-round burst. Now unlike the M16, the AUG a majority of the time can one-burst people, and it has a faster fire rate. So with that in mind, it's actually pretty decent at close range, it has an amazing long-range capability, and with a rate of fire that outclasses every other one of the tactical rifles, it's a no-brainer as to why you would want to run this AUG over most of the other rifles in the game, which is why it needs to be on this list and why it deserves to be on this list. At number 4, we have the Bullfrog. Being the Bison of Cold War, the Bullfrog is one of the fastest SMGs in the game. With the Bison, or the Bullfrog, whichever one you want to call it, being another very popular weapon in the franchise, it's no secret as to why it's a popular gun to run. Where other SMGs might beat the Bison in fire rate and in speed in general, the Bison has something that tops every other one of those guns, and that's damage output. Even though its fire rate may be slower, the damage output is much higher, which leads to a very high time to kill and actually longer range as well. The Bison has very good range, very little recoil, and really high time to kill. It's a very satisfying gun, and it's one of the most out there guns on this list. The Bullfrog is just a beautiful gun to run, and it's actually one of my personal favorites. Moving on to number 3, the FFAR-1, or as most players like to call it, the FAMAS. Seeing how the FAMAS has been in Call of Duty for a very long time, there's only one instance where the FAMAS was hands down the best assault rifle in the game, and that was in Black Ops 1. And the reason that it was like this was because the FAMAS in Black Ops 1 was fully automatic. When every other Call of Duty makes the FAMAS, they make it a 3-round burst that has amazing range. However, in Black Ops 1, the FAMAS was a fully automatic, almost SMG kind of weapon, which they beautifully brought back in Cold War. The FAMAS is an insanely good assault rifle that is also fully automatic. The FAMAS is a beautifully rounded weapon, and I cannot wait to use it more in this game. Moving on to number 2, we have the Krig 6. Now, I know you're wondering, how is the Krig better than the FAMAS? Well, that's actually because the Krig, when it comes to the bare bones of the gun, it's just simply a better weapon to choose. It has superior range to most of the assault rifles, has a pretty decent fire rate, and a very good time to kill. And when you put special attachments on this gun, it makes it even better at what it does, and that is killing effectively at mid to long range. And even in most cases, it's still very useful at close range. Seeing how it's a weapon that can deal with multiple different kinds of engagements, the Krig is an obvious choice when you're trying to go for a more well-rounded weapon, which is exactly why it deserves to be on this list. However, our number 1 spot will still always top it, as well as most of the other weapons on this list. And that brings us on to number 1, which is proudly held by the MP5. Now, seeing how the MP5 is usually the king of every game that it's in, the MP5 is a classic weapon that has been seen in most Call of Duties since Call of Duty 4. The MP5 is a beautifully well-rounded weapon, and when built correctly, it has one of the fastest times to kill in the game. It was the king of Modern Warfare 2019, and it is undoubtedly the king of Cold War. Did you agree with our list? If so, leave a comment down below, because we love to read those comments and see what you think. That's it for this episode of COD Globe, and we cannot wait to see you in the next one.